Welcome to the show where truth takes the mic, where the world spins fast, but we hold it tight. This is the Howie Silbiger Show on True Talk Radio, where the real ones go. Oh, politics, passion, the news of the day, no filter, no fluff, just the Silbiger way. So buckle up tight, let the debates flow. This is your hour, the Howie Silbiger Show. Silbiger Show. Silbiger Show. Politics, passion, the news of the day, no filter, no fluff, just the Silbiger way. So buckle up tight, let the debates flow. This is your hour, the Howie Silbiger Show.
And welcome to the program. My name is Howie Silbiger. Coming up a little later on in the show, we'll be joined by Mendy Boyarsky. Mendy Boyarsky is an entrepreneur. He's opening up a butcher shop at the Cavendish Mall, taking over the old J&R space. And he's promising that we'll have cheaper kosher meat. We'll find out what that's all about a little later on in the show. And of course, we're going to talk about the news of the day and everything that's bothering me here on the Howie Silbiger Show. Unfortunately, again, the phone lines are down. I'm having an issue with the phones. I have no idea why they're not working. The way the phone system works in the studio here is it's a soft phone, which means that it's a piece of software that allows people to call in, and because they call in on the computer, we can record you record your conversation. We don't have a hardwired phone into the system, although that would probably be a good idea, but we don't do that. And somehow the licensing on the soft phone system that we have died. It stopped. It expired. And I called the company that deals with this, and this is what we do. It takes up a lot of time. I called the company that deals with this, the company that we pay for the service, and they said that the service of the soft phone that we use for the show, and we've been using for the show for years, that service is no longer available, and that all the licenses for that service have been distributed already. So I said, well, what about the one I had? And they said, well, that one expired. I said, but if the service isn't available anymore, and there's only a limited amount of licenses available for the service and people who are using the service, how could my license have expired? Well, they didn't really have an answer for me, so we are looking for a different soft phone service. And as soon as we have it, we'll be able to take your calls, once again, right here on the Howie Silbiger Show. So until then, phone calls are limited. We can't call in, and you can't call in. We can't call out. It's limited, which means that I pre-recorded an interview with Mendy Boyarsky a little earlier in the day, and that recording was done through one of the online services, the Google Meets or Teams or whatever it is. We did it through that. So the sound quality on that interview might be a little different than what you're used to on the show, because that's the way it is when you don't do it the way we usually do it. You see, that's the problem with technology. It's great when it works, and when it doesn't work, well, it's not really technology then, is it? So here we are. We're doing a live show with very limited technology, very limited ways of communicating. So at one point, I if you're on social media and you're watching this on Facebook or on Twitter or on any of the social media platforms that we broadcast on, we broadcast so many I can't even remember them. If you are watching us on social media, you could communicate with the show simply by typing into your chat box, and that will allow you to communicate with us. If you are not watching on social media, or if you're listening on TrueTalkRadio.com, which many people do, unfortunately, that's not going to work for you. So I'm excited to talk to. Well, I was excited to talk to Mendy Boyarsky, and we were able to pre-record the interview. We're not going to do it live. We pre-recorded it. I was very excited to talk to Mendy Boyarsky because I really believed for many years, and those of you who have watched the show for many, many years, I really believed, and I still do, that kosher butchers have ripped us off, that they have worried too much about lining their pockets than about allowing us to have food at reasonable prices. I'm an average working man, and looking at the prices of kosher food, kosher meat in particular, it is astronomical and it is crazy. And really, it's almost like you can't afford to eat meat anymore. And I rarely eat meat anymore because of that. I used to eat meat all the time, and it's really been a problem. Affordability of kosher food has been a problem, and it's driven a lot of people away from eating kosher. There are many people I've spoken to who have told me that if kosher meat were cheaper, they would eat kosher, but because it's so expensive, they just can't afford it. And who could blame them? You look at the prices; it's insane. And so it is heartening, and it's really nice to know that somebody's trying to make a difference. Somebody's trying to do something. We complain, we talk, but somebody's actually trying to do something, and trying to make a difference like that, putting your money where your mouth is very commendable. And so I have all the respect in the world for a guy like Mendy Boyarsky, who we'll talk to in just a few minutes. I have all the respect in the world for a guy like Mendy Boyarsky, who's putting his money where his mouth is, and is planning to allow kosher people to eat kosher meat. Here is my interview with Mendy Boyarsky. We recorded a little earlier today. I'm a kosher meat consumer here in Montreal, and the price of kosher meat is absolutely insane. I looked at a website of a local meat supplier just the other day, and I was shocked. Well, not really shocked. I shop for kosher meat all the time, but it's shocking when you see it all together on one webpage. $100 rib steaks, $100 a kilo rib steaks, and $100 kilo chuck roast and London broils. I like to make chopped liver, and I used to buy fresh liver, and fresh liver used to cost me about $7 a pound. Now, if I want to go buy liver, it has to be grilled, and I'm fine with that for kashrus reasons. They want it grilled. It's not a problem, but it's $45 a kilo or $50 a kilo. Seems an awful lot, like a huge jump in price, and I just don't get it. Well, there is a man in town who has decided that he has had enough and he wants to change things. His name is Mendy Boyarsky. He's opening a butcher shop at the Cavendish Mall, and he promises better pricing for meat. Let's meet Mendy. Hi, Mendy. Welcome to the program.
Hello, Howie. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. So we've seen this game before, where a new supplier comes in, says they're going to give us cheaper meat or cheaper chicken. It was mostly in chickens, not meat so much. Cheaper chickens. They would supply chickens cheaper for X amount of time, and then their prices would gradually rise to the occasion and match the prices of the current chicken supplier. How would your operation be able to keep meat cheaper than what is currently being supplied?
So firstly, we are working directly with the source. There's no middleman. There's no distributors bringing inventory. We are going directly to the source. We have excellent buyers working with us. Sydney Namens, the old owner of the JR, is on our team. We are sourcing the product from the best schlachthouses out there. And I'm personally committed to making sure our prices are at approximately half of what the current prices of our competition. That is our goal, and that's exactly what we're going to be at.
Does that give you less profit? Is the cost of meat in the profit, or is the cost of meat in the cost of beef?
Let me stop you right there. I'm not doing this as a business. I'm doing this to give back to the community. Thank God I'm successful in my other businesses that I'm doing, and I'm doing this strictly to help the community as a giving back with philanthropist, whatever the word is. I've spoken to many people in our community. They just said that they just cannot buy kosher meat. They cannot buy kosher meat. Either the people who are, they go to New York, they go here, they go there, or simply they just don't buy kosher meat at all. I'll give you the moment the straw that broke the camel's back. I always wanted to do this, Howie. Like I've seen the prices risen through the roof. It's out of control. the moment that I decided that this enough is enough, I'm in the grocery shop shopping, and I see very obviously a woman go over to the counter. She picks up some meat. She looks at the prices. I saw like she was flabbergasted. It wasn't like, oh, it was a consideration, 25% more, 30% more, or double non-kosher. She looked at it. She put it right back down. She went to buy she went to buy tray for meat and checked out of the counter. And I'm committed to making kosher meat affordable for the Montreal community. It could be affordable. It's affordable in New York. There's no reason why in Montreal it's not affordable.
Now, many people, when they talk about the price of meat, seem to blame the Vad Ha'ir, the MK. Now, I know you're going with the KSR. You're going to be your hashgacha is going to be with the KSR, the Sephardi Vad Ha'ir.
Correct.
How does the cost of hashgacha with the Vad affect the cost of kosher meat?
So I don't know what the arrangements are with the VAD and the current supply. All I know is that there's one supplier of meat allowed to bring in inventory into Montreal. And when there's only one person bringing in meat, it's natural that they could charge whatever they want and the prices could skyrocket and nobody could do anything about it. That's just the cause and effect. The reason why America is the most successful country in the world is capitalism. You could compete, open markets, everybody competes, and the consumer gains. When there's one person dominating, it doesn't go well for the consumer. In the small shtetl in Poland, when there's only enough for one tailor or one butcher, then I understand. Then the idea makes sense. There shouldn't be any competition, because otherwise, if two people compete, then there won't be enough business for either of them, and they're both going to go out of business. But Montreal, thankfully, is one of the biggest Jewish communities in the world, and I think it's about time there's competition in the meat market.
But wouldn't you be in that same position, though, as the only importer of meat at the KSR? Wouldn't you be in the same position to where you could just charge whatever you want?
So, firstly, there's competition with the MK, but secondly, I welcome competition. This is not about me being successful or my competition being successful. This is about getting affordable meat to the Montreal community, and whoever does the best job, and they should be the successful. This is not about me being successful or about my competition being successful. It's about the companies competing for the consumer and bringing the best product to the market at the most affordable prices.
So, Mendy, you're going with the KSR, which is the Sephardi hashgacha. Why did you choose the KSR over the MK?
Firstly, the KSR is a very reputable hashgacha.
Well, a lot of people will disagree with you on that.
Okay, Howie, let me be clear with you. Anybody who disagrees calls the KSR an inferior hashgacha. Pardon my language, but that's just straight out racism. I think most of that has been thrown out, for sure in the Chabad community. There's no racism towards the Sephardic hashgacha. Maybe in some small groups, they view the Sephardic hashgacha as inferior, but I think that's been widely debunked. And the KSR is a perfect hashgacha. I've seen people go to chops, even the most ultra-religious people, they walk into restaurants that are under the KSR. The KSR and the MK is par hashgachas, according to the vast majority of people. And anybody who thinks otherwise, pardon me, is just an outright racist. That's what I have to say to that.
Did you consider using the MK or trying to get a joint hashgacha?
I did not consider using the MK for a variety of reasons, but mainly the MK, they work with their supplier. They wouldn't allow any other meat company to come into Montreal. To say that the MK, in my opinion, to say that the MK is complicit in the price rising would be generous for me to say. I would say they're more the root cause of it. That's my opinion on the matter. So me working with the MK is definitely not a fit. The KSR is an equal hashgacha, and they help their companies get into other markets, other venues, and they work with their companies. So I'm very happy to work with the KSR, and that's the approach I'm taking.
How would you answer people who will come to you and say to you that the KSR's stringency is less than the MK's, and their choice of mishkichim is less less qualified mishkichim, less knowledgeable mishkichim, less religious mishkichim. There's a lot of things that people talk about the KSR. I'm just wondering how you would respond to that when they come into your shop and say, "Hey, why should I buy from you when you're less stringent? You're able to less stringent hashgacha, and the mishkichim aren't really all that great on the KSR."
So I wouldn't address it. I would say go to the KSR websites, but between you and me and our viewers, anybody who has that view, it's ludicrous and it's pure racism.
Are you going to be doing the butchery at the mall? You're taking over the old JNR spot.
Right.
Are you going to be doing the butchery there, the koshering, or is it all? Are you bringing in the meat koshered and butchered already?
So we have a team in Buenos Aires that's doing the koshering over there. KSR has people on the ground over there, and it's being done over there. And some of the cutting is going to be done in Montreal as well. We have a team of butchers. City Namens, the old owner of JNR, is heading that division.
All right. Are you going to be providing pre-made foods? What are you
Yes.
providing in the store?
We are going to be providing pre-made foods, a full deli takeout across the board. We're working with the Premier Chicken. We're going to have Toronto chicken available, and meat available. A full-on takeout.
So it's going to be a one-stop shop for everything.
One-stop shop, correct.
I'm looking forward to seeing this, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to keep the meat prices to low.
Yes.
Really, the Montreal Jewish community has been ripped off too long when it comes to meat, when it comes to kosher food. A lot of companies feel that they have a captive audience and they just want to take as much from it as they can. And we just don't have the money to pay for this. I can't afford to buy $100 rib steak. I have a good job and I can't afford to buy $100 rib steak. And I think most people are in the same position as I am.
Yeah. I agree with you. The other day, I have a small WhatsApp group, 4 of us, that we came together. We bought some ribs. We ordered from a Hadron, a couple other stuff. The bill came to $850 for 4 of us.
Wow.
It was like out of control. $850 for 4 of us.
So let me ask you this question, and you don't have to answer me if you don't want to, but let me ask you this question. Well, it'll be hard for you to answer this anyway, but let me ask it anyway. How much of the cow do you have to sell in order to pay off the cow? So if you're shechting a cow, like one cow, how much of that cow has to be sold to pay off the cow? So I don't know how much a cow costs, and I have no idea how much shechting costs on a cow. I really don't have that information. But I can't imagine that selling one steak from a rib of a cow at $100. I can't imagine that you wouldn't. I could imagine that you wouldn't have to sell too many of those steaks in order to pay off the cow. So
Correct.
How much of the cow is actually profit compared to how much of it is actually paying off your expenses?
I'm not sure the exact numbers off the top of my head, but what I can tell you is that we're working with you. People are going to see our prices and they're going to say, okay, these are fair prices. We understand. We understand why Mendy's priced it like this, and so on and so forth. But to give the exact answer off the top of my head, I can't give it to you at this current moment.
Okay. So you're working with the Sephardi Hashgacha.
Correct.
Many of these Sephardi Hashgachas allow the back end of the cow to be used, which Ashkenazi Hashgachas don't. Will you be carrying meat from the back end of the cow?
We're going to let Rabbi Saba talk on that.
Okay, fine. That's fair. And so when is your estimated time of opening? When do you plan to launch the Alpha Butcher Shop?
March 23rd.
Oh, that's an exact date. I love it.
Yes.
So you're
Correct.
doing a soft opening or a hard opening?
We're doing a soft opening. We're gonna grow from there, God willing.
All right. So I want to get you back on the show right before you open.
That sounds good.
And we'll talk again. As after your shop is built and everything's ready to go, we could talk again and talk a little more specific about what's in the shop and everything else. I think we should do that.
That sounds great with me.
All right. So Mendy Boyarsky is doing something to try to save the kosher meat business in Montreal. Well, not save the business, but save people and allow people to eat kosher meat. And I appreciate people like Mendy who put themselves out and are trying to help the community. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in the food business who are not trying to help the community, just trying to line their own pockets.
I'm Howie Silbiger. It's the Howie Silbiger Show right here on the True Talk Radio Network.
Okay, so that was interesting. I really believe that he will do well. I really think he'll do very well. People are fed up, and that's really what it comes down to. People are extremely fed up. They are just so fed up with the cost of everything going up. They're so fed up with butchers ripping them off that I think they will give a guy who's trying to give them a break a chance. I've worked in and out of butcher shops my entire life. I understand how that business works. I understand the profit margin. I understand the markups on that business. And I get where greed could come in. And you could say, okay, I have a market that needs me. I have an active market that needs me. I am the only supplier, so I could charge whatever I want. And that's essentially what happened. About 20 years ago on the show, we challenged Marvid to come onto the show and to explain why kosher chicken was so expensive. At the time, I had just gone to the supermarket. Actually, I went to the supermarket just before I did the show. I went to the supermarket, and I saw that I had a box, a container, a Marvid container of 4 chicken quarters. They were legs, and the guy in front of me had a box of 4 chicken quarters that were non-kosher, that were treif. And he was right in front of me in cash. So I watched intently as they scanned his item. We were both only buying that one item. And I watched as they scanned his item, and his item scanned up at $7.14. And then I watched as my item was scanned up as the next customer at $13 and some odd cents. And I wondered then why my chicken, which was the exact same quarter, and that the other guy bought, it was the exact same chicken, the exact same packaging, the exact same number of chickens, the amount of chicken in the package, why my package of chicken was double the price. Now, I couldn't imagine, not even for a second, that the cost of hashgacha on a chicken would double the price of the chicken. I couldn't imagine that the cost of koshering a chicken, throwing salt and water onto a chicken, would double the price. I could picture maybe 10% to 20%. I mean, they process thousands, hundreds of thousands of chickens a week. I could anticipate 10% difference, maybe 10%, 10%, but 50%, 100% didn't make sense to me. And this was a little over 100% difference between what I was charged and what was charged for the non-kosher one. And that bothered me. And so I gone to the radio and I talked about it. And we talked about it night after night. For a week, we talked about it. And we got a lot of people calling in. A lot of people were blaming the VOD, and a lot of people were blaming the butchers. They were blaming everybody. The markup after markup after markup. Okay, fine. A lot of people were blaming a lot of people. But at the end of the day, who's really responsible for the price of kosher meat? Who's really responsible for the cost, the consumer cost? There are many factors involved. Monopolies, the idea that it's a captive audience. We can't eat anything else, so whatever you're going to charge us, you're going to charge us. The idea that Jews are suckers and they're just going to pay whatever because they have to. That's really what it comes down to at the end. And because it comes down to that at the end, because that's where it really comes down to, it is very heartening to know that there are people out there who want to change the market. They want to bring the price down. Now, whether they're going to be successful, we've seen this before, we've seen this tried before, whether they're going to be successful or not be successful, is all dependent on the consumer. If you want to save money, you got to support the people who are trying to save you money. If you don't support them, who knows? Now, of course, they're under the KSR, and I know there will be people who will have kashrus issues with meat under the KSR. I get it. And I get Montreal worries about hashgacha, and I didn't ask Mendy about which hashgacha he's going under, if it's Hasidic hashgacha or if it's Beis Yosef. I didn't ask him what hashgacha he's going to be under. That could be a question you could ask when the butcher shop opens, or maybe I'll ask him the week that the butcher shop opens when he comes back on the show. Maybe we'll ask him that question. So I didn't ask him that question. But at the end of the day, if he could sell meat at 50% less than what everybody else is selling meat at, then I think that's a win, even if not everybody's going to buy it. Maybe it'll encourage the people ripping us off to drop their prices. It's possible. I mean, it's worth a shot at least, isn't it? I'm Howie Silbiger. It's the Howie Silbiger Show right here on the True Talk Radio Network. And this has been on my mind for a long time. And I really believe that we have something here. All right, so let's move on to something else, because I think it's important that we talk about a lot of different things. There is a idea, there is a concept out there that Jews are responsible for everything. Now, this is not a new concept. These kind of blood libels have existed for centuries. But a new one is cropping up where Jews are being blamed for things that other people are doing. For instance, there was a kidnapping in Australia just last week. And there are people who are blaming the Jewish community of Australia for financing the kidnapping, because, of course, Jews are the kind of people who would finance that, according to these people. They say that because Jews control the banks, so these old blood libels are coming up again. We are living in a time where blood libels are mainstreamed, where mainstream media are running blood libels against the Jews. We're living in a time where Jews just can't live their lives peacefully anywhere. And so, because we're living in that time, a blood libel like the one in Australia, where Jews are being blamed for a kidnapping because they control the banks, is not overly surprising. And I'm always shocked when I say that it's not overly surprising, because I think we should always be surprised and always be disappointed and always be upset when these kind of blood libels are leveled against Jews. I think we should always be upset when we see that Jewish life cannot be normalized, that Jews can't live a normal life. I think we should always be upset when we realize that the people living around us in the diaspora, the people living around Jews in the diaspora, just want to destroy the Jewish people. They want us gone. They want to kill us. They want to destroy us. And I think it's time that we realize this. And once we realize this, what can we do about it? We have to take action. We have to understand that we can't sit idly by and allow this to happen, that we can't be the martyrs, that we can't sacrifice ourselves on the altar of secularism or sacrifice ourselves on the altar of hatred. And we can't let hatred define us either. We can't sit back and allow our enemies to define us and to say, this is what a Jew is. We can't do that. Because if we do that, then we are capitulating. We are giving up. We are allowing Jews to be crushed, and Judaism to be crushed. And our ancestors have died so that we wouldn't do this. Our ancestors suffered. And Judaism survived so many centuries that to throw it all away now would be criminal. Literally criminal. And so we don't have to sit back and bear it either. Jews have been strong over the centuries. Think about the Maccabees. Think about Moses. Think about how strong these Jews had to be to get up and to fight back. So we can't be sitting around and not getting up and fighting back. We have to take the lessons of our forefathers and get up, fight back, and do what we have to do to make not only Jewish life good, great, but to keep us safe and to keep our children safe. It's up to you. It's up to all of us. I'm Howie Silbiger. That's it. Have a good day. I will be back next show right here on the True Talk Radio Network. Thank you so much for joining me.